in our series of Shakespeare's plays for you to learn language and literature. Here is the play Othello The Moor of Venice. The subtitle, The Moor of Venice, is, that he comes from the darker races. He's not fair-skinned. Othello is a tragic hero. First, let me tell you the story in brief. I will not mention all the names because many of you are commenting that the names are difficult. Obviously, the names are difficult because it is a different culture. It doesn't talk about the culture which you are used to with names from your own familiar name list. Othello is the tragic hero. The person whom he marries is a beautiful Venetian girl, Desdemona. These are two young people in the play, but it is a tragedy. So although Desdemona does not listen to her father, who fixes her marriage with somebody else, she prefers Othello, although Othello is dark-skinned, and both of them get married. But to create problems, especially the person whom Desdemona did not marry wants to create a problem in this marriage. So he chooses one of Othello's. Othello is a soldier, so he has some assistants. Iago is the third character. These are only the three names you need to remember. Iago, who pretends to be very loyal, but he's not loyal at all. And he also has a grudge against Othello because Othello supports one of his rivals to take up the position, a higher position. He does not give that position to Iago. So he wants to take revenge. And therefore, he follows the plan of the other person and says that Desdemona is not loyal. She has betrayed your marriage. She has made you into a fool because she loves somebody else. She doesn't love you. Othello is young and hot-headed. He does not have maturity enough to think that he should be able to understand this is only a plot. After hearing this for many days, he wants to kill Desdemona and succeeds in doing this. The girl whom he loved, the girl who left everything to marry him, now he kills her. And then he comes to know the truth of how his own assistant has betrayed him into something which he should not have done. That is why we call it as a tragedy. It's a simple story, although maybe, killing is not happening, but this kind of a jealousy, this kind of a feeling of breaking relationships, of not trusting each other, of people poisoning each other's minds, these are common human themes which we find even today, and therefore Shakespeare's story is immortal. Now let us talk about some of the very important points for literary analysis. In the play, the skin color is important because the subtitle of the play is The Moor of Venice. The story is in Venice, but Othello does not belong to Venice. He's not white complexioned, he's black complexioned. He comes from Africa, therefore the Moor of Venice. He is Moorish, and that brings us to the discussion of racism. Racism, even today, we talk about races. We know a whole history of slavery where people were treated worse than animals and they were killed. So here again, in the 16th century, where this much was not known what would happen in the future about slavery, etc., but there was this distinction between the fair-skinned and the dark-skinned. And racism becomes a very important part of this play. The play needs to be analyzed from that point of view, because one of the major problems is that Othello feels that he might not be good enough for Desdemona, therefore she does not love him, she loves somebody else. She has married him only out of pity or to deceive, and that deception he does not take because he feels inferior because of his skin color. All that is racism. Then of course the concept of revenge. The father curses the daughter by saying, you are doing something against my wishes and I'm sure nature will punish you. That, the father's powerful words as a path to people taking revenge. When the courtiers hear this, the father is a very rich man, he's a well-established man, and the others who hear it keep searching for ways and means to break the marriage between Othello and Desdemona, and this is what the theme of revenge is. Iago plays a very important role in the theme of revenge because he wants to take revenge against Othello, who has not given him the rightful promotion. He also wants to take revenge against Desdemona because Desdemona might have some influence on Othello, and which Iago does not want. There are many complications because the person who gets the higher post and Iago does not get also creates the feeling of revenge. There is the person whom Desdemona was supposed to marry but did not marry. He also has a role to play in this revenge because he wants to take out that anger which he felt because of the rejection of Desdemona. Desdemona said no, and for that he wanted to take revenge. Othello as a tragic hero we have to keep in mind. The tragic flaw in Othello. His immaturity, his inability to decide that Desdemona is innocent and there is something wrong with the people who are saying that she is guilty of betraying your marriage. She is having an affair with somebody else. Now there is one point here which you have to keep in mind, and that is that Othello is a soldier. He is not much into emotions. Today we have something which is taught to students, we call it emotional intelligence. In Shakespeare's time this term was not there, but Shakespeare is talking about the failure of emotional intelligence in Othello, because Othello is not able to balance his love with his trust and his total dependence on this love. He is little suspicious about emotions because he's a soldier, he's somebody who's interested only in physical strength. He doesn't believe in the emotional strength, in the powerful bonding, in relationships built on love and trust. And that is the tragic flaw which we find in Othello. The play is very powerful. It has many images and symbols. Desdemona's handkerchief is a very important symbol here because it is Desdemona's handkerchief which brings her death. That she drops the handkerchief, her maid picks up the handkerchief, and her maid is the wife of Iago. You see the connection. Iago is Othello's assistant and his wife is Desdemona's maid. So the maid picks up this handkerchief and Iago takes it from her and plants it in the wrong place. He puts the handkerchief in a place which tells that Desdemona has dropped it, and that is the feeling of her guilt. So this handkerchief motive becomes the proof of Desdemona's guilt, where Desdemona doesn't even know that she has lost her handkerchief. The whole plot is revealed when this handkerchief is found and Iago's wife confesses. She is not so evil as the husband. She confesses by saying that Desdemona had dropped it and she had picked it up to return it to her, but her husband snatched it from her and created this entire plot. In this way, there are many very important points in the play. Once you read the play, you will enjoy it. You can look at it from the language point of view, because that is, English, which is 400-500 years old. Shakespeare is a person who gave many words to the English language. You can learn vocabulary by reading it, but it's tough to read original Shakespeare. Literature students have to read it. Once you read, you will get benefited, and you can then read all the themes, images, symbols, everything, including the characters of all these people. Thank you and all the best.